more to marketing.
Welcome to More Marketing, the podcast on marketing, product, and everything business. I'm your host, Susan, and today I have a very special guest back. I'm going to be talking to someone who last time we spoke to them started their own business, and now during the 2-year period, they've done a pivot, and we want to talk about more on why the pivot, what happened, how things have been going, and what can we learn. So today I'm very excited to have April Smith back. April has her own business that she'll talk to in just 1 minute. But April is also a longtime friend of mine as well. So I've been on the journey with her behind the scenes, hearing snippets here and there, but I'm excited to get right into it and hear more about what April's been up to, what her business is looking like now. But let's just start at the beginning. Hi, April.
Good morning. How are you?
I am very good, and apologies for any noise in the background. I happen to have children home.
That's okay. It matches my dog, who is fast asleep on the lounge at the moment. So I didn't have him last time I spoke to you.
But tell us a bit about your business. Let's go back to 2 years ago, what the business was. Share out with our listeners those details first.
Yeah, okay. So that's right. Last time I spoke to you, I was approximately 2 years around about into actually building my own business, and I was getting some really big things up and running. So disability support business, it's a very niche market in the area that I work in. I look after a lot of high functioning or high level lower needs young adults who have disabilities, including autism, cognitive disabilities, intellectual disabilities. However, all of them are very capable of getting out there. I've got uni students, I've got TAFE students, I've got looking for work and actually in the workforce at the moment. So we support them doing all of that and so much more. And yeah, so now I am looking into my 4th year. We're starting in 2025. It's beginning of 2025 and I'm heading into my 4th year of business. And things have changed a little bit. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster. It's definitely had its ups and downs, but yeah, we're looking forward to 2025 with these new changes, and yeah, it's going to be good.
Fantastic. And I think it's important for all businesses to realize that you can't just stay still no matter how big or small you are. There'll be conditions that will either force you or proactively give you a nudge to move. And that's what's happened for you, April. So tell us a bit about the why behind what made you think about you even needed to do a change.
Yeah, and it was very interesting because it did come, I think, a lot quicker than I anticipated it to. I always knew there was probably going to be this change, but it came a lot sooner. And I went, okay, well, let's just roll with it. However, what was the change was that my clients' needs actually changed. So when we talk about marketing, we're marketing a product. However, my product is a human being. So my young adults, my clients are my product. And I have to listen to that product. I have to listen to them. And with their needs and with their growth, because obviously we've been doing so much with them and they've grown so much, I really had to sort of take that on board. And then the other side of things is that I had to take on board who I was as well and who I wanted to be. Of course, as the business gets bigger, you have more responsibility, you have a lot more put on yourself. And I really wanted to keep my work-life balance as well in check. And to do that, these changes really just needed to be made. So essentially, it just, once again, it came from my clients. It came from what they need and what they want. And then obviously the data that I've collected through observations, through feedback, everything like that from them is that they were ready for it. They might not have known it, but I knew that they were ready for this change as well.
And how did you prepare yourself for these changes? Because naturally, you've had this plan in place. It's your baby. You've been 2 years into it. You've been so excited to see your thoughts come to life and you're seeing all these success happen. How did you actually handle that moment of, oh, I need to change. I need to pivot. What do I do? Oh, no.
I laugh because I can go back to that moment where I was like, oh my God, this is happening. And I need to do something. And that's what it was. It was really like a split moment of the build up from sort of the first 6 months of last year. And then I actually gave myself a week off in the middle of last year and I worked from home for the whole week. I had all my staff out because I have staff now too, which is great. And they were out doing their thing. I was at home doing my thing, and I was planning for the next 6 months. And it was really setting in that moment where I just went, okay, yeah, this is the time. I've got to make a change and I've got to do it now to get ready for next year. It was literally just like, boom, in my face, got to do it now.
And I'm guessing there was a lot of lists, post-it notes, research, all of that went in behind this, because it is a whole business change and whole process change for you.
It is. And you are right. I love my post-its. I have my post-its. I don't have any up at the moment, which is great because I'm only starting back this year, actually tomorrow. So I've got a clean slate that I'm starting on now. I've done a lot of work over the holidays as well and at the end of last year to get ready for this year. But that's exactly right. It was really talking once again to my clients, not just in a group setting, but I actually got them one-on-one. And I actually spoke to a lot of the parents, and I, managed to sort of speak to them, voicing the ideas and obviously going, look, this is where your son, daughter, young adult is right now. And this is what I'm seeing, and this is what I'm feeling I want to do with them next year in terms of their learning. And it was really great because once again, I had a lot of support from everybody. I wasn't sure how the clients were going to take it because obviously when you're dealing with people with disabilities, especially autism, change is sometimes not the easiest thing to deal with. So I really had to make sure I spoke them through it for that 6 months of last year, going, hey guys, look, this is where I'm seeing you guys at. This is what I want to do. I think we need to change some things because I think now that you guys have grown so much, we need to look at what your next step is to obviously get you out into the world independently. So it was a 6-month conversation essentially with all of my clients and all my clients' families.
And communication would be king for any kind of change, because how else are they going to prepare themselves for it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's not just like a conversation like you and me are having today. It is an in-depth, detailed conversation
It's really
going,
personal.
hey, it is really personal. It's sitting them down, like I said, in a one-on-one going, hey, you know what? So this year, what are you happy with? What are you proud of what you're doing? It was a real reflection on them. And then I always do sort of an end of year meeting with my clients. And I'm like, hey, what do you think you've done really well this year, and where do you see yourself going? Have you changed any of your goals for next year? So starting that conversation with them really got into what I needed to do. And then it was like, okay, so you've told me your feedback. Now I'm going to tell you mine. And of course, that puts them in that work situation that we're talking about, putting them into as well as part of their learning. So I would give my feedback and go, yeah, I actually think you've grown so much that I'm a little bit lost on what to do with you now. However, what I'm thinking of is that how about we put you into a mentor role and then we actually get you to sort of teach and help educate and encourage some of the younger clients and the newer clients coming through? Or what about you? What do you think about working in a small group this time around so you can actually be surrounded by your peers who have similar goals? And they are the type of changes that we are doing. And with with that communication or with that conversation, they were really on board and putting it into a positive way, because it is a positive thing. It's just like we said, sometimes they don't really see it that way. And you've just got to really communicate openly, honestly, and say, look, this is what we're doing and this is the benefits of what we're going to change and how we're going to change it.
And I, of course, realizing there would be a lot of types of fear that come into this, both from you pivoting your business and what the new model would be. And if you've actually got clients who want to do it, because naturally you want the majority to, but you might lose a couple, which is natural along the way when things change.
Absolutely.
And two, also handling the fear of your clients. How did you approach getting ready for those conversations?
First of all, I was probably more fearful than my clients. In all honesty, I probably held and carried that with me longer. And then obviously it was like, okay, talking to everybody about it. And that's why, like I said before, having those in detail conversations is so important, because it does decrease that anxiety. And the more that I saw them actually be on board with it, because I was actually quite nervous, especially with a few clients of mine, probably about 2 or 3, to be honest, that I was really worried about, thinking, oh my God, am I going to lose them? I don't want to lose them. They've got so much more to go. But once I was in that conversation with them, I think when I saw them relaxed, I actually relaxed as well, because they were taking what I was saying on board, and I could visibly see that. So that sort of like decreased my anxiety, because I had a lot of anxiety going, oh, how am I going to do this? What's it going to look like? That's right. Like you said, am I going to lose any clients? You know, if I do, okay, that's the inevitable, because that's what happens in business. Are they going to like what I'm putting forward? All of that goes through your head. And it was a couple of months, to be honest, of going, oh my God, what am I doing?
And who did you talk to help you through that? You mentioned that you had staff, so I'm assuming you might have had some workshops or engagement with them just to make sure that they were on board with you too. But how did you talk with them and also anyone else? Like, did you have any mentors or business coaches that you happened to chat to, or other people in the industry?
So yeah, I did keep my staff in the loop pretty well, in terms of, once again, I'm very open and honest and very transparent with all of my staff. I think that's, once again, key to communication and key to running a, successful business, is they need to know what they need to know, and when they need to know it, they do. And so I was very open and honest. As soon as I started thinking about the change and seeing the feedback that they were giving me from the sessions, and the feedback that I was getting from clients, family, and everybody, and putting all of the data together, I sat them down going, there needs to be a big change next year. Like, we need to do a big shift. And I think the first conversation was, I don't exactly know what it is, but I know there needs to be one. And then that's when we sort of started talking and getting more feedback, asking for more feedback from my staff when they were with clients. So I would put that into sort of session plans too. And we used to do a lot more reflection. Once again, like I said before, asking the clients, how are you feeling? Have you liked this? Have you not liked this? Just, how do you feel at this moment in time? Just to sort of get a real vibe of where they were. So with all of that on board, I started really thinking and looking at everybody's goals, because, as you know, I work with the NDIS and they all have different goals, but once again, they're very similar. And then I sort of had to put sort of little dot points, look like a little map in my head of, okay, this client and this client have got really similar goals, and these 3 have got real similar goals, and okay, these guys are sort of on the same track but not quite. And then obviously all my workshops that I did, same thing. I would ask everybody for feedback at the end of it, going, what do you like? What do you want to see more of? Do you want more of this, or do you not? So then I started putting like basically a little mind map together. And once that happened, I felt like I was on the right path. I could visually see what was actually going to maybe come to fruition next year. So it was a very rough visual mind map, but it was there. And then after that, I think I just sort of spoke to a few people within my community about it, and obviously spoke to friends, family, just sort of to get that sort of stress and that anxiety off my chest. Am I doing the right thing? Am I not? And then after that, once it sort of stepped into line, I went, okay, yeah, nah, this is good. This is all right. I can do this.
And for you, I'm guessing a lot of it was the validation of there's still a business here that people will want to attend.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Making it still what we've already had and what we've already made within that environment that we've made it. It's just going to, feel a little bit different and look a little bit different. That's all. Yeah.
And how has the progression gone? So the 6 months of planning has finished. You're ready to rock and roll. We're literally at the beginning of that year. How has that now progressed?
Good. It was a little bit rough. Definitely was a little bit rough. Once again, sort of when you're running a small business, you have a lot of the pressure upon yourself. Was lucky enough to have the help of one of my staff members last year do a little bit of stuff and take some stuff off my table for me, so I could concentrate on what I needed to concentrate on. But it's a big change, and so we actually haven't really spoken about the change apart from sort of what I mentioned earlier. I've basically built a whole new curriculum for my clients, which means that we're not only doing some individual work with them still, but we're doing group work. So we're getting them into groups of 2 and 3. So the logistics, number one, was really tough, and figuring out, like I said before, that little mind map and bringing it to life and making sure that it was going to work. Once again, talking to clients going, hey, I'm thinking of putting you and you together. What do you think about that? Do you think that would work? And then I sort of tried it out a little bit on them too last year. I was like, hey, how about we do a, group session, just to the 2 of you or the 3 of you, and sort of see how they interacted, and then sort of said, so would you like to do this more next year? And they'd be like, oh yeah, this would be really cool. But I'm building a whole new series of workshops as well. So we're concentrating on that group work and those workshops. So I've been busy putting together a whole new curriculum for my clients. And the things that we are doing are things from, budgeting to employment is obviously a massive one, getting them sorted and ready to go into that employment and look for employment. We're doing, I'm stepping into health and well-being with them because that's what they want. We did a sort of test workshops last year for sort of 3 and 4, and now I've got full series. I'm doing 8-week, 10-week workshops with them. So that's been a lot, and we're there, and I'm still working on it. I'm currently still working on a few of the workshops because some of them that are happening later in the year I haven't even started. Once again, I've got on paper what I want to do, but same thing, I've been reaching out to some lovely contacts that I've worked with in the past, who are going to help me. They've actually said, yes, I want to help. I want to come on board and help you put together a program in things that maybe I'm not so confident in just yet. And it's been really like a pressure cooker, but it's also been really good because I love working under a pressure cooker as well. So, but yeah, to see it all come to fruition, like it's pretty cool. And I'm feeling pretty relaxed actually coming into 2025, knowing that I've got a lot of work to do still. It's going to start off, and I've got the clients excited about it, and I'm excited about it, and the staff are excited about it too, which makes it so much easier.
And I think the thing with the program that you're delivering now, because you're not catering so much to the one-to-one, you're actually building up a curriculum of course kind of work. You've got a template in place that's reusable, which means that you're going to just be amending things in the future.
Yeah, exactly right. And that was the whole idea of putting the little test workshops in last year, doing it sort of maybe over 3, 4, 5 weeks, just to sort of, I really got what they wanted to learn. For instance, we did they really wanted to know about relationships, dating, friendships. Now, a few years ago, I was definitely not in the frame of mind or had the skill set to do that. And now I outsourced help. I'm upskilling myself in that area as well, with looking into going to certain certifications and starting actually certain certifications to get me more involved in that area. And yeah, it was really neat to sort of see where those test workshops went from what the clients wanted to how they've developed into what they are now. Because it's the same thing. It's like I haven't done anything more or less that they haven't wanted. It's everything that they want. And then at the end of those workshops, it was, okay, so what did we miss? What else do you want to know about? Is there anything more you want to know about? So I've managed to sort of put together these really amazing workshops that I'm super proud of. And it's got everything in it that they want, and hopefully more. And you're right. Now I've got something that I can do over and over again, or I can just tweak like I've done this year, or I can pull things out and put things in and refresh it as I move along.
And you've also done some other work as well where you're trying to diversify or do some more passive income directly related to your business. So, talk to us a bit more about your resources.
Yes. So, being from that background and with my niche clients that I have, and this is what my struggle was when I was in my previous job before I came into my business as well, was trying to find resources that were suitable. And when I say suitable, are they age appropriate? Are they not looking childish? Because even though we are dealing with young people who have disabilities, the last thing that they want to do and the last thing that anybody should be doing is treating them like children. And that's what I found was that a lot of our resources that I would use, I would have to manipulate, or I would have to redesign, or I'd have to make from scratch. So in the last 3 years, that sounds scary saying that, 3 years. In the last 3 years, I have had to do exactly that again. So I've developed a lot of my own resources that I've used with clients. And once again, like everything I do, I get them involved in it. So I sort of sit down and ask them. For instance, I had a couple of clients who I worked with employment stuff, and I would ask them and go, okay, I think there's a resource that we can use here, but I'm not quite sure what it is. What would you like to see? What's going to help you the most? So I actually brainstormed and did the whole, idea with my clients sitting in front of me in their sessions. Then I would go off, I would put something together, I'd bring a draft into the session with them and go, okay, we're going to use this today. Tell me your thoughts. And they would give me their honest feedback and go, oh, I really like this. Yep, that really helped. Or I'd like more to see more of this or more of that. So I'd go away again, I'd tweak it, come back with a final product, and then we'd actually use the resource within their session. And then same thing, I'd get feedback and go, okay, what are your thoughts? And most of the time we got it pretty much spot on, which was great. A couple of little tweaks here and there. But with me doing that, it was like, okay, there's so many more people out in the community that don't have these resources. You go online and you're stuck with what you've got. So my idea is now to sort of help along that I will create more resources. The resources that I have created, I can actually really finalize, and then I can actually look at putting them up onto a store, up onto my website, up onto Amazon or Teachers Pay Teachers or something like that, that everybody else then has the access to as well, because I'm sure there's a lot of people in my situation that are feeling the same struggles that I did.
Exactly. And I think it's a good way to also get that extra passive kind of income out of what you're already working on, because it can just sit there and hopefully just churn away, and can also help you probably from potential future leads, or even just building up your own SEO for your site for more people to come for those key terms that you've got on your site too. So I think that also helps, because I'm sure even a parent might stumble across them in the future and go, you know what? Oh, this is just too much for me on my own. I want this help.
Yeah. And I've already had that. It's funny you say that, because I've already had that.
Exactly.
I actually, not one of my resources, but I found an amazing resource for people who struggle with ADHD. And yeah, the parent was like, oh my gosh, can you send that to me? That looks amazing, and I'll buy it for my child to use. And she did. So yeah.
Exactly. And no one does changes for the in small business in particular just because it's the best thing in their little heart to help out their team or their clients. There's always going to be a business case behind it about how businesses work. So, what was your motivation, just in general, in regards to making your business change? Because I know one thing that you did was you brought staff in. So, staff always have high costs. So, and you also mentioned that as part of this, you wanted more of a work life balance, which meant that you had to get away from being in front of clients as often, because you are now behind the scenes working on all these workshops and the continual workshops. So, how did you go about looking at how the financials would work to make sure that your business would thrive?
Yeah, that was a key issue that I did face in terms of making sure that I was still turning enough profit, that I was, and I know that in this industry there is a high cost. Like, you don't come into this industry, I think, not knowing that. So that was number one, that you've got to be open to going, okay, this is going to take a large chunk out of basically your net profit. So how do I do this and get the support that I need and still be able to actually make enough money to be comfortable to pay my staff and obviously everything else that we have to pay being a business. And for me, I'm very lucky. I've got that experience behind me of very many years of managing. So it came quite easily. And all that I really needed to do was to make sure that I was doing what I needed to do at home. And we did have to change a few of the sessions a little bit for staff to make it a little bit more accommodating. But that actually was for both client, myself, and the staff member as well. So we sort of did do a little bit of a change within that. And obviously that saved a little bit of money as well in terms of the hours that were put out. But for me, essentially, it was just, that's right. I do my job here and I just make sure that I've got enough work from home that I can make up for the time that I'm not on the floor. And I knew as long as I can do that, that I'd be okay. And fortunately, I've got more than enough. And then the clients keep giving me more ideas, so then I have more work, and they give me things like when and I say to them, I'm like, thanks, now I'm going to go home and think about that and research that and do all of that as well. So, but I love that as well about the business, and I love that about my clients, is that they constantly do challenge me. So I am constantly sitting in front of a computer looking up things that I never thought I'd be looking up, just to sort of, help them along. And then I learn stuff as well, which is great.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Now, we've talked about your first few years, talking about your this time period. What are you planning on beyond? So in a year's time, if we catch up, where do you think the conversation is going to go?
Well, yeah, hopefully it will be. My plan was always like a 5-year plan. It's the only thing I think in my life I've ever done a 5-year plan for. So it's going on track, because like I sort of mentioned before, in terms of I'm doing a lot of upskilling on myself. So essentially, I wanted to build the business to be as self-sustainable as possible, and have the staff to sort of staff it, which I've done, which is fantastic. So tick, goal, done. But the next thing for me is to really educate myself and really upskill myself into what I actually want to do past this, and same thing, it's, we're not getting any younger. We're at that age now where we sort of have to start thinking about the future a lot more, and when we want to slow down and what we want to do. So for instance, that's why I brought in exactly what we just spoke about with the passive income, with the resources, and trying to sort of get that up and running. So that's going to be a big concentration, like we said, this year. So hopefully by this time next year, I can say that I've got that up and running, and then however that is, because I've been to sort of a few things already, and I'm talking to my graphic designer again very shortly in relation to all of that and how we see that actually going, and what we could do with it potentially as well. We've got a few ideas up our sleeve, which is great. But yeah, I'm heading back to TAFE to get some more, qualifications from my end, to then build me into my next step and my goal, because obviously we have the business goals, but you need to have your personal goals as well. And mine are aligned with the business. But so yeah, hopefully next year when we talk, or if we have that chance and opportunity, I'll be 12 months into my 2-year TAFE course. And then I'll be really looking at my next step is to sort of go down more of a behavior side of things, and get another qualification on top of that. So I'm taking my stepping stones right now. And then, yeah, hopefully year 5 of the business, everything should be pretty stable and staying stable. That's where I'd like to really see it, is that stability now. And obviously with staff, I know I've got university staff who are completing their uni degrees, so I'm very aware that they may move on at some stage as well. But that's the cycle, that is the cycle. And once again, you don't sort of go into anything like this not knowing that. But on the opposite side as well, I know I've given those staff members an incredible, hopefully, front foot of what it's like being in this industry, and the experience that they've gained from it will hopefully help them into their future as well, in their stepping stones and their personal goals too.
Fantastic. Now, if you were going to give some advice to someone who was in your role and your feet 6 months ago, and they had that I would almost call it an epiphany moment, going, oh shit, that plan I had in 2 years is actually coming 2 years earlier, or oh shit, I really need to change things because it's not quite working. What advice would you give that person in those shoes?
Scream first. Internally. Have your oh shit moment.
Grab the vodka.
Definitely,
Yep.
definitely. Get it out. Just, dance like nobody's watching, basically, go a little bit like because I think you have to. And then after that, what would I tell them? I'd probably just say to them, okay, once you've had your moment, come back to reality and start just actually getting stuff out of your head. Because like I said, I sort of had a lot of stuff in my head for so long and I didn't actually get it out. I spoke about it, but I didn't actually get it out. So I'd probably, even if I was to speak to myself 6 months ago, that would probably be my advice, is start to put stuff down on paper straight away. Sort of start to get those little mind maps out of your head onto a sheet of paper so you can actually visually see what it looks like. Because that's, I know, like I said, something that I didn't do. That would be the first thing. And then the second thing would be just breathe, take a breath and really absorb what it is that you want. Does it actually align still with what you're looking for and what your goals are for yourself, for your business, everything? And number 3, do you have the capabilities and the capacity to actually do it at this point in time? Lucky enough, I had the capabilities and the capacity to do it. If it was 12 months earlier, like sort of when we spoke the first time, I can wholeheartedly say there was no way that I would have been ready for it. Absolutely not. I would have had the oh crap, oh shit moment and probably just fallen by the wayside because I had nothing in place. So give yourself that time to put things in place, get yourself ready, get those steps basically all in a line so you can easily go up the ladder. Because if you don't, you're just gonna put yourself into stress, anxiety that you don't really want, you don't really need. So yeah, that would be my sort of little recommendation.
Awesome. Now, I ask everyone the same question. I've asked you it once in the past. Don't know if it'll be the same answer this time. What brand, any brand in the world, best represents you and why?
Oh, yeah, I do. You asked me this one last time, and I remember what I said last time, and I'm going, I had no idea because obviously we sort of, this was a spare of the moment thing this morning, which is awesome. So I had no idea whether you're going to ask this or not. Is it the same? That's what I'm questioning. Is it the same? In a way, it probably still is. But if I was a brand, who would I be? Actually, I'm going to change my answer this time because something just popped into my head. So, once again, your clients probably have no idea. Your audience probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But hopefully, they might after this, and I can give the company some, money. Because it has been a journey over the past sort of 12, 18 months, definitely. Rolly are a brand out of Melbourne. Again, they're an Australian brand. Now, you know exactly who I'm talking about. They are a shoe brand, and
she's shoe obsessed, by the way, everyone.
Just for everybody's knowledge, look, it's just you, me, Susan, and a couple of other people listening in. I do own about 16 pairs of these shoes now. I have bought them over the past, since about 2017, I think it was, about 2017, maybe a little bit before. But they're an Australian brand and they are designed here in Australia and they are the most comfiest shoes ever. And they're just funky. So, but me, I'm going to the comfort side, is that it's all been about making myself comfortable, my clients comfortable, and everything else over the past 12 months at least. So Rolly it is.
And they're shiny.
And they're shiny. They are. I've got glitter, as you know, I've got glitter ones and I've got shiny ones and I've got dotted ones and I've got palm trees.
She's got a few people. So she's also referring to the evolution as well, which is what she's done with herself and her business.
That's right. I can put a pair of shoes on to suit my mood exactly.
Thank you so much, April. I'm just going to do a quick wrap up of the things that I've learned today. So, one of the things is if you are in a business or a situation where you know there's a pivot needed, take a moment, breathe, and recognize it. And some of the things that you can do along the way is one, you may have already planned it, but if you haven't, start writing things down. Start getting it out of your head. Either take a notebook with you in your bag or your briefcase, or even just use your phone and message it to yourself, whatever it is. I know some people that even record it on their phone and send it so they've got the notes later. That means it just gets out of your head, and it also starts to help form those mind maps and actually bringing things about quicker. Because if you get things out of your head, it's starting to be more real, and that will help you on that journey. Now, as part of it, you need to make sure that you've actually done your research. So, part of that could be what the timing looks like, preparing for it, being ready with even your capabilities and your capacity, because you might recognize that, hey, I really want to do this and it's a great pivot. However, I don't have all the skills, but I know people who do. So get them on board, see if they'll mentor, see if they'll be part of it. Get that external help from those specialists, because that's how you grow and build as well. And it could be at some point doing some more formalized courses or informal courses too. As part of the business needs changes, it's always great if you've got data to help support you. So that could be created in all different ways. You could observe it, you could get direct feedback, it could be part of watching the industry and the movement as well. But data can help you support what you're wanting to do. So when you do have those open discussions with either your clients, your staff, or whoever else is involved in the stakeholder communications that you need to bring in, that you've actually got a robust sense of it and the why, and potentially even involve them in collating some of that too. And saying things like, I've heard your needs, or I'm actively listening to what our clients are saying, or I've made an adjustment because of XYZ. That will make a huge difference in the acceptance and hopefully get people even more excited. As part of the exercises, it could be even workshops, mind maps, even trialing some things on a smaller scale before you actually go full in, so that you can actually see results and make any optimizations as required. But again, this is all about business goals and individual goals and making sure that they're aligned and that you've got everything backing it. So if you can, take your time and prepare, because that's where you're going to have hopefully the better success out of it. Have I missed anything, April?
I don't think so. I think you got that all yeah, you did.
Awesome. Well, for everyone, I will have April and her business's details in the show notes so that you can keep abreast of everything that she is doing. I'll also include, when she has them available, any of her resource links as well, but they will be housed on her website. So worst case, head there and you'll be able to find the links from it there too. Now, everyone else, thank you so much for listening to More to Marketing. Please ensure to like, leave a review, and share it with your friends as well. More to Marketing.